Today on the Topping Show, a WNBA player named Angel claims that there is hate speech against her. A clip of an African saying Africa is for Africans after discussing Africans leaving goes viral in regards to the white farmers. A CNN clip lying about Joe Biden's health gets roasted online. A trans activist defaces Yosemite National Park. Honda pivots from EVs to hybrids. And an adult portable bed rails are being recalled. All of that and much more on the Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. Ease me see this joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free Flamethrower with every IT purchase, with Picatinny rail adapter so you can mount it to any standard AR-15 like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the Flamethrower button to learn more and see me shooting a flamethrower. And lastly, try to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Honda CEO saying that the future is no longer EVs, it is hybrids, which are slightly less boring, but still glorified disposable pieces of trash, in my opinion. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Jerry Perez over at thedrive.com. And they say, quote, Honda CEO is all about hybrids now that the EV adoption is, quote, pushed back 5 to 6 years. Well, pushed back even more further than that, hopefully. Now, they say that Honda's previous plan to move 2 million EVs by 2027 has now become 700,000 to 750,000 units instead. And here you can see a plug-in Honda SUV in case you want a half reliable vehicle. So you want a Honda that's quite not as reliable as Honda. You can get that. And get slightly more miles per gallon. Granted. Now they say, quote, Honda CEO Toshiya Mibe is adjusting his company's course after recent events drastically altered the global outlook for combustion and electric vehicles. During the company's annual business briefing, Mibe justified slashing Honda's global sales estimate for EVs while expecting hybrid sales to double between now and 2027. Last year announced they expected to grow about 2 million units over the next 2 years. Now it's going down. CEO says, quote, it has become increasingly clear that the environmental regulations which held promise for widespread adoption of EVs are becoming relaxed, mainly in the US and Europe. AKA, the government isn't coercing people to buy EVs, therefore not many EVs are going to be sold. Because again, unless you're a rich person who wants a disposable vehicle, if you're on a budget, why would you buy an EV? That again, best case scenario lasts you 10 years and then it's trash because of the battery. The battery costing more than any other component of the vehicle. That's why I always tell people, if you're on a budget, really can't beat like a 2000 era Japanese car because they seemingly are indestructible going 350,000 miles plus, but I partially digress. He also noted that, quote, in addition, the recent development in trade policies of various countries make our business environment increasingly uncertain. Very true. And sorry, I should put a visual disclaimer for this part of the show because it's mostly anevically boring Hondas. There's another plug-in Honda SUV. That is the Honda Prologue pre-production model shown. Oh, disgusting. I yearn for the era of Honda to make it S2000 again. Is it too much to ask Honda? Just give us a coupe, a stick shift, an internal combustion engine, maybe four cylinders of glory, and a little turbo. Can you do that for us? The EPA is starting to wane up on the regulations. You could, but they won't. They're giving us a Prelude, which the people who would want a Prelude, they're not going to buy a new one because the new one it is a coupe, looks okay, but it's a hybrid, which again, most enthusiasts don't want. And I would also think most people who again are on a budget and don't want a depreciating asset that will be trash because of the battery and the tech and all that kind of stuff. But again, I partially digress. CEO said, quote, if the EV penetration period pushes back a little, I feel that it might be pushed back about 5 more years. The Trump administration will remain in power for 4 years, but that doesn't mean the EV demand will bounce back immediately. I think it'll be pushed back 5 to 6 years. Which, I'm sorry, this is disgusting. It's Honda Civic hybrid engine. Terrible. In case you want a Honda Civic that is less reliable. I love my Gen 10 Honda Civic Si. 4 cylinders of glory, 86,000 miles, strong. Now, they say, while insightful, Mibe's comments don't exactly come as a surprise. Automakers throughout the globe remain invested and therefore persistent in EV manufacturing and sales. However, they're all dialing back their original estimates. Yeah, a lot of these companies were saying, okay, we're going to go all in on EVs. We'll only make EVs like 2025 or 2030. And then the public doesn't want them, not all, for the most part. And the juicy tax incentives, there's so much speculation that Trump's going to take them away. Who knows? But if I were a gambling man, I think there's a high propensity of that incentive of $7,500 being taken away as well. Now, they say that, quote, while many analysts could claim that they were being bullish to begin with the EV estimates, perhaps the current climate is acting as a sort of reset button, emphasizing hybrids and plug-in electric SUVs as a bridge to EVs. Yeah, who would want a bridge to just something disposable? It's worth noting that Meads mentioned the Trump administration stance on EVs backs what Honda former electrification boss Aya Momei and president of CEO American Honda Kojiro Takasani told The Drive August of last year. When asked what a possible Trump second term would possibly do to the company's EV plans, they explained that it would be foreseen by Honda and therefore not surprised. He also alluded that nothing lasts forever, meaning that the trajectory of EV development would continue only with a build-in delay due to the political climate. Milley's comments of the EV demand would eventually resume growing lines with the company's long-term thinking, first shared with us in 2024. Meeb again said, quote, in contrast to the slowdown in the EV shift, demand for hybrid electric vehicles is growing, which, unquote, and that is true. If you look at the adoption rate of, what are people most interested in the US, hybrids is one of the fastest growing categories. The EV adoption, again, more EVs are being sold, but that adoption rate is decreasing past a couple of fiscal quarters, perhaps because people are doing basic mathematics and, again, don't want a disposable vehicle. And here's it's a Honda Civic, but it's a hybrid. At least the blue is kind of nice for the Honda Civic. At least they chose a good paint color. Now they say, quote, Honda's been on the hybrid bandwagon for many years, but it's intensified its presence in the segment considerably recently. Even its racing portfolio in North America is made up of hybrid offerings. Ridiculous. Such as the presence of the IndyCar Series and the IMSA under the Acura brand. They also know that the Indy 500 is being touted as the first hybrid 500 in history. Yeah. Very interesting. Haha, no, it's actually not. Something that Honda is very invested in, specifically from a marketing perspective. They say that rival Toyota's stance on EVs and hybrids have also been drastically different from Honda's, though both companies agree that having a balanced portfolio of vehicles is vital to surviving the current market conditions. Both of them will continue to invest in EVs, which, again, Toyota, largest automotive maker on the planet, and I would argue the most reliable, they're the only one that really read the room right when everyone was going all in on EVs. Toyota spent a majority of their research development budget on hybrids, which, again, turns out to be the fastest growing category that people are interested in. So it's interesting to I was just glad to see that it's one of those things where, yeah, it's nice that they're going to start making some hybrids and de facto keep some of the gas engines alive. But it'll be interesting to see how much the adoption rate continues to decline for EVs, or who knows, maybe we'll have some out of the blue, initiative, or it'll really go trending again. People want EVs, but yeah, hopefully Honda will keep making gas engines for my whole lifetime, and they'll make lots of reliable vehicles. But let me know your thoughts and comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the Cultural Part podcast, you have a WNBA player by name of, what's this? Angel Reeses. I don't think she's associated with the chocolate company. I don't think so. I don't think it's Hershey's like great granddaughter or something. I mean, it's obviously not. But she's claiming that, oh yeah, there's a hate speech in the WNBA, which, I mean, that'd be a pretty tall order, because that would suggest that they had fans that showed up and also fans that care enough to actually say something and care enough to say something pejorative. Which, let's be honest, the WNBA is as interesting as watching paint dry. Now, that might be an insult to paint. Some shades of paint are quite interesting to watch dry in comparison to the WNBA. I'm sure someday they'll be financially viable. Haha, that's a joke, because probably not. They've lost hundreds of millions of dollars, and their sugar daddy, the NBA, is the only reason they exist, because they started the WNBA as a pet project, or their board, and that's the real person who actually funds the whole damn operation. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Jason Whitlock on X, and he says, quote, can anyone explain what happened? There's no proof of anything happened, and Angel isn't asked or required to explain what happened. We're just going to assume something happened. No proof, no accusation. This is the Matrix. I'm so sorry. I should put a visual disclaimer on this part of the show, because you're about to see Angel, who, not all, but I think many people would argue is more visually, viscerally disgusting than myself. Though granted, true, it's a pretty low bar. I'm going to say she's wearing some fancy sweatpants. Presumably Nike is paying her to wear that. so that she can inspire 0 to 18 people to purchase it because of because of that endorsement? Probably. But maybe she'll actually give us some proof for really articulate reasoning. Obviously not, but we'll hear what she has to say.
Yeah, obviously there's no place in this league for that. I think the WNBA and our team and our organization has done a great job supporting me. I've had communication from everyone, from so many people across this league, and being able to support me and going through this whole process. Obviously, it could happen to me, it could happen to anyone, and I think they've done a great job supporting us in this.
How did it affect you Saturday, trying to do your job, trying to play, and having this going on simultaneously?
Yeah, obviously it's tough, but I think I have a great support system. I'm loved by so many people. And obviously
Oh, she's serious? For a second, I thought she was doing stand-up comedy. In which case, I would have given her kudos because that is a hilarious comment. Because, I mean, people only know of her because she's so insufferable, entitled. I mean, this is a person who complains she wasn't making enough money because she also spends like $7,000 a month on rent, which is one of the dumbest. I mean, talk about fiscal irresponsible. That's one of the most foolish things you can do. That's just ridiculous.
At the moment, it's hard to hear, but my support system is great. God has protected me in so many different ways. I've gone through so many different things in the past couple of years of my life, but I think just having this support and this love and being a part of an organization that really supports me and loves me is something that I couldn't imagine not being a part of.
What do you think the league's response, just coming out right away and getting that investigation going?
Yeah, obviously, like I said, they understand that this is the priority. Obviously, there's no place for this, and
Shouldn't the priority be making money, making a profit? Again, this is the worst business in history. Oh, it may be one of the worst businesses in history. The WNBA has never made a profit. And the NBA has, I don't know, I forget how much money they've wasted investing, quote unquote, in the WNBA. Just burning through cash every single year. But they need to investigate something she can't articulate, but she says bad things are said.
They preach, I think 2 days before they put out no hate, no speech. And obviously the women in this league, they know that and know there's no space for that. And I believe that every player in this league deserves to be treated with respect and want to come.
Except Caitlin Clark, they kind of a rivalry, although not really, because again, she can't play basketball, but Caitlin Clark can.
To work and just have fun and have a great environment to work at. So I think they've done a great job putting that out, and we're obviously just going to respond as they need to.
Now, again, she's becoming more viral. I'm not sure about the marketability if you were to give her as a brand ambassador, but I mean, her insufferability is so much so that we're actually talking about her. It sucks because now it's been burned into my brain. Now I actually have the displeasure of knowing 2 WNBA players, which is infinitely more than I've ever actually wanted. I mean, I'm a business nerd, but I don't need to know the players. I know that fiscally, the WNBA is a terrible, terrible, terrible investment that, again, has never made money. But besides that, I'm not really interested in it. But nevertheless, this went viral, got 4.2 million views and 23,000 likes. With one of the first comments coming from Amuse, simply saying, "She lied," getting 393 likes. Enslaved One says, "Isn't being booed partly than an athlete? What is this bullshit?" Getting 2.2 thousand likes. Time to Shrug says, "Angel Smollett," getting 627 likes. Wow. Peter Babinow got 4,000 likes for this one. He says, quote, "Hate to," what does he say, quote, "Hate to say it, but it's not to do with skin color, it's your personality. Her personality is just trash. People are judging you based on your character, the context of your character, and not the color of her skin." Getting 4,000 likes, which, yeah, I think so. Tripping over opponents, which, I guess they do that in the NBA too, but going above and beyond, being insufferable, entitled, talking smack, as youth might say. You also have Pertinent Thief saying, quote, "The idea white people are hurling M-bombs from the stands is absurd. If it does happen, no one would be sitting around them, black or white, would sit there and let it happen. No white person wants anything to do with a guy who behaves that way, not even secretly." Getting 2.2 thousand likes. I guess he expands upon that. Saying, quote, "Were there no black people at the game? Question mark. Do they ignore such insults? Of course not." Getting 2.2 thousand likes. It's a good point. Again, the U.S. is such a racist, evil country. If you were to dare say the N-word, you lose your friends, your family, you lose your job, you lose any semblance of social standing in society, you'd be ostracized. And yet, apparently, she's claiming that they slung that word at her game, which again, people would also have to attend the WNBA in order for that to happen, which is also, statistically speaking, not 0% odds, but pretty small of a percentage. Howie says camera phones are everywhere. TV cameras are everywhere. No video or audio has emerged whatsoever. Getting 2.1 thousand likes. Yep. Russell Taylor says, quote, it's evident that the WNBA has decided to make news for teenage girl drama rather than good basketball. Getting 747 likes. I mean, you can't really blame them because they don't have good basketball. They can't even dunk. But they have good fundamentals, which hopefully someone remembers the Futurama joke there. George Bliss says, Reese took a big phony flop and acted ghetto. That's the truth, getting 516 likes. Tired of willful ignorance says, Angel Reese will forever be a perpetual victim. It's how Democrats raise their children today. Getting 498 likes. Also have Elvis Knievel? I was going to say a combination of two iconic men. Saying, quote, fatigue is becoming an exhaustion, getting 666 likes. Not a single there's no one sticking up for Mrs. Reese's in the comments here thus far. Let's see. Robert Madden says, quote, WTF, she's disgusting. I am with, who's this? David Portnoy. Caitlyn should start her own league of non-racist. It would surpass this absurd racist league in a year or two, getting 105 likes. I mean, probably. I mean, geez Louise, the WNBA is such a rudimentary, mediocre organization. To beat it, I mean, the bar is so low. Yeah, you probably could. If you had a couple good players and you had just a little bit of investment money. Maybe. Now, 5 says, supporting me, clown. You pushed an opposing player in the back and then got fouled and acted like you were in the WWE. Getting 562 likes. Bizarre World says, people booed a bitch. That's it. That's what happened. Getting 91 likes. Ray Maryland says, quote, because no matter what, it's about those bad white people. How many times do you have to see this play out? And everyone plays along, getting 434 likes. Kat Sadowski says, what happened? There's a clip. I'm so sorry. Should have done another visual disclaimer. We're going to watch a clip from the WNBA, which might be not dangerous in terms of I'll die, but it might be a risky thing to do on the show because I might just fall asleep while recording. It's a risk perhaps worth taking. We'll dive in together. Oh, no volume. Yeah, so Reese shoved a player. And she flopped like a fish. Maybe she got that from LeBron James. And again, a lot of basketball players do it. I'm surprised maybe they go to Hollywood for acting lessons. But yeah. So Reese fouled the player. Ref doesn't call it. Caitlin Clark goes and tries to block her. Just hits her arm. So Caitlin Clark, what is it? Hits the Reese's girl's arm. And flops like a fish. Oh my gosh. I didn't think it's possible. I just enjoyed a moment of the WNBA. Holy shit. I didn't think that would happen in my lifetime. And I'm not even inebriated. That did get 113 likes as well. We'll do one more. Building the Wall says, quote, well, there's this. And it's an MLK Jr. quote saying, quote, turns out we're being judged by the context of our character after all. And that got 148 likes. So we'll see if there's any evidence that anyone actually said anything that pejorative to her. Again, I'm pretty darn skeptical. It's possible. I would just argue it's highly improbable. And maybe, I don't know what I was going to say, maybe a conspiracy theory. Maybe she's acting like this, so it's so insufferable, it's moderately entertaining. And more people will watch the WNBA, and someday before I die, they will make a profit. I don't want to say the odds of that are 0, but let's say negligible. But let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have a clip of an African saying that Africa belongs to Africans, and it goes viral in regard to the white Africans leaving. Now, this is brought to us thanks to End Wokeness, in which he says South Africa is about to starve. And it's about 37 seconds long. But without too much further ado, you have a gal. Apologies, I cannot. No, I could credit this to. Looks like the channel is called the 77 Report or Percent. They're down in Africa interviewing some folks there.
So deep into history, you've taken us back to the 17th century. In that case, shouldn't everybody leave the property to the Khoisan, who are thought to be the native occupants of South Africa?
No, actually, Africa and South Africa, it belongs to the Bantu people. It belongs to the Ngunis. So it belongs to the people of Africa.
What about Tavy here?
We are not saying it doesn't belong here. Now that we are living together here, our perspective is that the land must go back to the chiefs the traditional leaders and the state were unapologetic about this. Land must be expropriated without compensation.
And so
Oh, what? I was going to say, so no reparations. Interesting. They're going to take the land without compensation. Well, I was going to say, a lot of the white folks are actually leaving, a lot of the farmers, so it might actually happen. But yeah, I was going to say, if I play this in any other context, you'd be socially ostracized, be canceled forever. But they're okay. They can talk about this and plan it, even though the other folks were there first, and land has been conquered since the dawn of time. So, yeah, imagine someone saying, oh yeah, Germany is for Germans, everyone else should leave. Never happened. Also, Germany these days, that'd be a lot of work, because it's not really Germany anymore in terms of they've had mass migration. But it's for the better, I'm told. That got 5.2 million views and 81,000 likes. Now, one of the first comments comes to us thanks to the gas stove. One of my favorite contrarians are becoming that way, since they're, again, one of the most viral commenters, because they'll just say the opposite and get a lot of engagement. I mean, this person got the most responses, 190 responses to that comment. The gas stove says, quote, this is this is in no way different from Trump saying America is for Americans. They got 241 likes, so it's not the most liked comment, but it's the most reacted to. One of the first comments to that comment is, who is this? MCSR said, yeah, it is. Trump isn't saying America is only for white people, getting 110 likes. Red Hand of the Dog says, holy balls, are you really that stupid, getting 28 likes. I guess this is just like no one reads behind the headline, because if you click on the gas stove's profile, it literally describes itself as a professional gaslighter and a masturbator. Though I'm not sure about their fishing hobby. I'm not sure what that has to do with this, but nevertheless, Live and Inspire says, actually it is, because the non-Americans own nothing and have been here for 5 minutes, while the white farmers in South Africa own the land and have kept the people from starving and have been there for over 400 years, getting 44 likes. So going back to the main comment section, Valentina Gomez is the top commenter by number of likes. She says, quote, white farmers are the only ones keeping the country afloat. Looking forward to seeing how they starve since they don't know how to do anything. Getting 3.4 thousand likes. And see who responded to her. JD says those idiots will kill each other within a year, getting 76 likes. Bruce Alsa says, quote, they have never needed whites, getting 12 likes. Oh. And let's see who responded to her, or to that person. Beacon Overlord just had a kitty from That 70s Show laughing, getting 10 likes. Bean says we'll find out about that, getting 2 likes. So, not exactly ratioed, but most of the people responding to him were. Jeffrey Head says, quote, they should all leave Africa and come to America. We need wonderful farmers that let our country go back. We need wonderful farmers and let that country go back to effing shit. This is their choice. It's what they want to give them an open border to the United States. For any white African, getting 41 likes. The Zionist American says, let them go hungry, getting 14 likes. George Carciano says, quote, cannibalism return in full force. Whoa, getting 12 likes. Base Jane Doe says, Zimbabwe is their way forward. They should learn history, getting 10 likes. Pirate Sailor says, quote, soon there will be a famine like those in other countries of Africa, getting 10 likes. Malice in Looking Glass says, quote, let's swap out whites for our blacks. That's a win-win. Am I right? I was going to say, you usually don't see that word written out too often. Getting 28 likes. Tush says, Zimbabwe tried it. Uganda too. Boot out the skilled who knew how to grow maize and run a post office. And what do you get? Not a nation, just an address where famine lives. Getting 58 likes. Again, I'm not seeing too many contrarian comments. And again, other countries have tried the methodology of getting rid of the farmers and or the government seizing means of production. And it's never, interestingly enough, never actually worked, in addition to, being immoral because they're taking some property. So this is one of the hottest cultural topics, pun mildly intended, because they're climate, I guess. But let me know your thoughts, guys. As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part podcast, I have a CNN clip about lying about Joe Biden's health going viral on social media. Now, this brought us thanks to End Wokeness, in which he says, quote, stop what you're doing, watch this. The way they effortlessly lied to the public about Biden's health should infuriate you. Never trust the propagandist again. And there you can see Don Lemon. At least he suited up. He did something smart. Low bar, I know. At least he looks professional. Then he has Sideshow Bop. Oh, no, I mean, the Pear Gal. And this is from, credited to CNN. I'm not seeing the date just says 2024, but nevertheless, hear what they have to say. About 2 minutes and 40 seconds, so might feel like an eternity of insufferability, but we shall get through it together.
Does the president have the stamina, physically and mentally, do you think, to continue on even after 2024?
Don, you're asking me this question. Oh my gosh, he's the president of the United States. You know, I can't even keep up with him.
The most difficult part about a meeting with President Biden is preparing for it, because he is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
I can testify because I've been working very closely with this president for the past 2 years. I've been knowing him for 30 years. And I'm telling you, this guy's tough. He's smart. He's on his game.
Joe Biden has vision. He has knowledge. He has a strategic thinker.
The president is focused. He's detail-oriented. He's always thinking about the big picture.
He is engaging. He is capable. He has an incredible record as president.
And I'm often with him on foreign trips.
Hey, it's the bird lady. Well, the lady who looks like a bird because she's so weird looking. Well, granted, I don't have much ground to stand on, but that is the former Treasury head who famously said, well, when someone asked her the basic economic question, did you know that printing an ungodly amount of cash and money out of thin air would cause inflation? And her response was, whoops, I didn't know that would happen. Which kind of shows you the average IQ of the Biden administration.
He's at the top of his game.
So he has a vision. He has knowledge. He has judgment. He has a strategic
Skeletor. I mean, Pelosi.
thinking.
I met with the president.
What's their Bernie Sanders saying?
A strategic thinking.
I met with the president, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks ago, and he seemed fine to me.
I have complete confidence in the president. I have watched him expertly guide meetings of staff and cabinet members. I could not have more confidence in the president.
I would just tell you that I meet frequently with the president, and every single time I meet with him, he is just fine.
But he is, again, knowledgeable, wise.
Incredibly sharp, incredibly probing, incredible command of the details.
He is sharp. He is on top of things.
There is nothing to these challenges, these suggestions that somehow he's not sharp and he's not capable.
We see Joe Biden up close. We know how attuned he is to the issue.
And you're going to see how smart he is and the experience he has.
Dr. Jill Biden, who maybe she gets an award for like most abusive wife of history. Because again, there's a high propensity they knew about his cancer years ago. Because again, he had the best doctors on the planet testing him all the time to make sure he's healthy and able to run the country. Yeah, I can't but think she just used him as an ends to the means for more and more power.
I say his age is an asset.
He's wise.
Yes, he's wise. He has wisdom. He has experience.
And his experience, because of his age and his wisdom, has been invaluable to this country.
A lot of countries, people who've been in office a longer period of time are praised for their wisdom.
I have seen a lot of 72-year-olds not as capable as this 80-year-old.
It is hard for us to keep up with this president.
His mental...
Because he confuses you? I mean, that would make sense. I mean, a lot of people struggle to understand what the heck he was saying at the time. Now, it's just because of his stutter, which they claim is just a stutter.
Acuity is great. It's fine. It's as good as it's been over the years. He's fine. All this right-wing propaganda that his mental acuity has declined is wrong.
And this kind of sense that he's not ready for this job is just a bucket of BS that's so deep, your boots will get stuck in.
Yeah, you don't hate the mainstream media enough. This went pretty well. I got 2.2 million likes and 78,000 views. Wait, stop that. Reverse. 2.2 million views and 78,000 likes. Scrolling down more and more. The gas stove says this one tops them all. I was going to say, is he no longer contrarian? We have that douche from MSNBC.
Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever. Not a close second. And I've known him for years. The Brzezinskis have known him for 50 years. If it weren't the truth...
Yeah, that was right before the presidential debate where Joe Biden stayed awake for sometimes and mumbled through most of it. Well, granted, some people might say that Joe Biden still does articulate better than myself when I speak. But I would argue the more and more viewers and followers I've gained, the better I've become. So click that subscribe button. It might help with my speaking aptitudes. That's a long-standing theory I have. It's slowly, I think, been proven true. Now, I got 337 likes. The anti-left meme says Biden is both. It's a screenshot from the National Review. It says, is Biden senile or a pathological liar? Getting 151 likes. Scrolling down more and more. Western Decline says he's physically and mentally unfit to be president, and that's why they loved him. He's the easiest president to control. Getting 296 likes and him stuttering. Jace HSTL says, yet another example of the media being the enemy of the people. They knew it, they hit it. Getting 108. Speaking of 109 likes. Andrew Wilson has an article screenshotted from New York Post, credited to Carol Murkowski, sorry. And it says, quote, Biden's decline is obvious to everyone but the press, getting 63 likes. Let's see. James Gerald says, whoever was in control was giving us this. And it's a drag queen with demonic literal makeup and horns on reading to children, getting 76 likes. National Artificial says, quote, reporter. Reports that come out indicating that water possesses the property of wetness. Senator Schumer, can you speak of that? Check Schumer. This is baseless claim. The right-wing propagandists are just pushing this ridiculous narrative. It's not true. Water is not wet. Getting 56 likes. Pro-American Politics says, quote, Pam Bondi needs to appoint a special counsel and to investigate this fraud perpetrated to the American people. Getting 98 plus, making 99 likes. Although I'm pretty sure she's busy doing something. Lord knows she doesn't seem to be doing much, but, maybe there'll be a breaking story any second now, and she'll do something of great magnitude and of importance. Maybe. Scrolling down more and more. Glendale Godness says, quote, yep, even Biden admitted he had cancer 2 years ago, and they all covered it up afterwards. Yep, people forgot about this clip.
And because it was a 4-lane highway that was accessible, my mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you knew what was happening. You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. And why can't, for the longest time, Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation.
And after that, of course, everyone said, oh no, he misspoke, yada, 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 which, again, one of the contributing reasons why Joe Biden was so hard to understand, he had so many issues with his body when he was in president, I suspect maybe it was because he's taking cancer drugs. A lot of them have some detrimental negative effects, although I'm, of course, not a doctor. I'd argue I have better morals than some doctors, but nevertheless, it's an instance where, yeah, a lot of those people are saying there's some parallels between the behaviors Joe Biden had when in office and the side effects of certain cancer drugs. So maybe that explains some of his behavior. Yeah, so again, I guess he had cancer years ago. Scrolling down more and more. Not seen any contrarian statements thus far. Bajoran says, what I don't understand is if they knew he had medical issues, why didn't they just let Harris step in? If they didn't think she was ready, why did they have her run as a nominee? All this is an incredible cut and paste mess of lies, getting 34 likes. That's a good question. I mean, again, I have no evidence to this theory. I've thought about, what would explain all the behaviors they've done and all the things that they've been doing. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that, they used Joe Biden, got him elected, and then they wanted him to expire or step down and then Kamala take over. Maybe Joe Biden still had a little bit of a backbone. He said, no, I'm not doing that. I mean, again, a lot of them were asking him to drop out of the recent presidential election, but he was vehemently against it. And again, he only dropped out via a tweet, which we know Karine Jean-Pierre, the foreign press secretary, is the one who actually handles his Twitter account. That's the only, he said he would never drop out, and then a tweet came out saying he dropped out. Do you really think Joe Biden tweeted that? Do you think he even knows what extra Twitter is? So again, that's kind of one of my theories I have. Again, not much, I don't have any evidence of that. Now you also have Just Saying says, quote, we lied about Biden every way we could, but he has cancer now, so never mind. I don't think so. Getting 13 likes. So yeah, we'll see if there's any whistleblowers who come forward and kind of admit like, oh yeah, here's some evidence. We've been hiding up for years. But let me know. Do you think, this is all just coincidence? He gets out of the blue now, and that, again, the best doctors on the planet didn't run the proper test to realize now we know that his late stage prostate cancer is apparently spread to his bones, and it's, again, a lot of the experts, I should say real experts, the doctors, are noting that, yeah, you would detect this. This is very I mean, this is very detectable. You detect this years ago. But as always, let me know in the comments because it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have a trans activist defacing Yosemite National Park and going viral. This brought to us thanks to Libs of TikTok, in which she says, quote, radical trans activists are flying a giant transgender flag at Yosemite National Park to promote the idea that trans is natural. And to protest Trump. They're defacing government property. This needs to be removed. And she hashtagged the National Park Service, who, I was going to say probably a couple months ago, were probably all in favor of this and was supported. I'm actually surprised. The National Park Service has 1.4 million followers. That is incredible. Not to brag, but I have 300 and something on X. Though I would argue it's all about quality, not quantity. I have, as Trump would say, the best followers. Look at me on the X, the Topping Show, and the Rumble, and even the YouTube. And this is about 47 seconds long. And it's, I'm sorry, I should put a visual disclaimer, horrifying. But, yeah, there's someone in a, I almost thought it was Guy Fawkes from V for Vendetta with that face. But I think they just have about 18 pounds of makeup, which, incidentally, who would have thought, I mean, sales would nearly, skyrocket in blue and purple hair dyes. Talk about, and those flags. I mean, those industries have to be booming while the rest of the economy is struggling. A lost opportunity to invest, unfortunately. So you have a drag queen dressed up in a national park uniform that the lapel name tag is called gay. It has rainbow, what are those things called? Sweatbands on the wrist? I haven't seen those in a while. And the iconic hat that Smokey the Bear has. But without too much further ado, let's hear what it's saying.
Some carry hate, we carry the largest trans pride flag to ever be flown in a national park and unfurled it on the side of El Cap to prove a point, that trans is natural. The Trump administration and transphobes would love to have you believe that being trans is unnatural, but species that can transition sexes can be found on every continent and in every ocean on planet Earth. So call it a protest, call it a celebration. We are bringing elevation to liberation. They try to erase us from government websites and education systems and libraries. So we raise this flag higher than ever before so every trans person knows that they have people that love them in their corner. The people united will never be defeated.
Wow. I was going to say, talk about a rudimentary design of a flag, but it's gone viral. How many of those flags have been sold? Thousands? Tens of thousands? Hundreds of thousands? Millions, maybe? Now, the only silver lining of this situation is that it's moderately a peaceful protest. This isn't... You could debate the anchor mounts for the actual flag, but at least they aren't using paint for once, so they're not actually, causing too much of a permanent damage. At least it's moderately a peaceful protest, although I'm sure it's going to be a pain in the rear to actually take that thing down. And, yeah... horrifying. Now, this got about 500,000 views and 8.9 thousand likes. And one of the first comments comes to us thanks to Sarah Smith, who says, quote, these people are seriously sick. There's a trans flag and says, quote, there's no such thing as a trans woman or only mentally ill men pretending to be female, getting 447 likes. Yeah, interesting how they always want to read books to kids at the library. Never, old folks at the nursing home who could use an extra friend. Junia Broderick says, quote, send a drone with a torch on it, getting 893 likes, which, in terms of ROI, in terms of resource allocation, that might actually be the best bang for your buck. Because, again, sending a person up there, there's legal liability, there's a small, depending on your skill set, a small chance they could fall and, get injured or die. That actually might be the most expedient way to solve it. You have Doge AI saying, quote, national parks are for natural beauty, not political stunts. NPS wastes tax dollars on woke displays while infrastructure crumbles. Cut the virtue signaling. Focus on conservation and visitors. Defacing public lands isn't a protest. It's vandalism. Getting 182 likes. James Swad says, quote, these people really want people to know they are mentally ill. There's just a screenshot of the gentleman with, well, I'm not going to lie, that is pretty good hair. I'm not sure what kind of drugs, hormones, or extensions or magic things are going on there, but very long, lustrous, what do they call it? I'm not trying to think of the shampoo commercials that I don't see anymore. What is it? The hair has good body, something to that effect? I've been getting the same shampoo for over a decade. I really don't research much. Well, That got 255 likes. Mega Forever says, quote, it needs to be removed, getting 240 likes. James Swad says, really? Then why does it require unnatural surgery and drugs? Getting 234 likes. Ant, though I don't suppose it's an actual ant, it'd be very hard to type. Even with the, strong, lifting capabilities of an ant, I don't think they could jump on that keyboard. Nevertheless, this alleged ant says, quote, hope this weirdo gets eaten by a bear, getting 251 likes. Sons of Liberty, 357, an exceptional American cartridge for a pistol. Well, I suppose you could argue for a lever action as well. Though, I was going to say most people when it comes to classic cartridges would say God's cartridge or 45 ACP is superior, but another topic for another time, perhaps. He has a picture of Dr. Seuss, but it's in, doctored of a Dr. Seuss book, and it says, Dr. Seuss, if you're born with a dick, then you're not a chick, getting 21 likes. Barry Megan says, why are there child abusers loose national parks? Kind of, I read it differently when it was said to keep this moderately family friendly, and it got 276 likes. American Natural says, quote, natural, like these examples. And you have a objectively beautiful woman with an American bikini. Some would argue, sure, well, France may have invented the bikini, but America perfected it with our flag, the most glorious bikini. It's got the stars, it's got the stripes. And there's a horse under her. And then there's a juxtaposition of the picture of Dylan Mulvaney in a one-piece swimsuit, which F- for, I don't know who invented that. And then under Dylan Mulvaney is not a caricature, but it's the horse costume where you have two people. And that got 24 likes. Scroll down more. Based Electrician, great to see him in the comment section again. He says, quote, excuse me, Mr. Gay? That's Ranger Gay. Well, Ranger Gay, your balls are showing. And it's zoomed in down to the lapel label, like, again, instead of the person's name, does just say gay, getting 17 likes. Paul Zupa says, quote, this is vandalism. Well, pop up there, and needs to result in criminal charges, getting 83 likes. Skeleton Da Vinci says, quote, trans is natural, takes massive amounts of hormones and drugs, getting 407 likes. A conservative alternative says, quote, schizophrenia is natural too, so is anorexia, but we don't affirm their delusions, we get them help, getting 74 likes. Yep. But I was going to say not to be too pessimistic or, negative. However, there's also Big Pharma who loves the trans initiatives because, again, they get a customer for life. And again, I hope everyone gets the help that they need. In this case, I would think, maybe having a couple extra friends in your life, or I'm really not a fan of too much therapists, but yeah, let's just say permanent damage that can result from drugs. Again, not a doctor, but I'm concerned about, getting these people to become customers for life of Big Pharma. And again, you look at the suicide rate pre and post-op in terms of the operational procedures they claim will fix how they feel. It's the same. So I would argue it's actually helping them because, again, the rate at which they end their lives prematurely is the same. And I think different methodologies would be best to help them. You have Curtis Johnson says, quote, trans is natural, injects artificial hormones, and undertakes drastic surgeries. These parks employees do not know what nature is. Fire them, getting 36 likes. Let's see. That makes sense because, quote, why are these people so insistent on getting others to accept them and their ideologies? It's almost as if they are not confident in their own beliefs and need others to reaffirm, getting 90 likes. Yeah. Not seeing too many. Again, I'm scrolling, trying to find some contrarian statements here. A lot of people just doing, up close images of the individual's uniform, or it's not actual uniform, it's a bastardized one. Storm says, what's the penalty for defacing national monuments in national parks? Getting 97 likes. Well, I was going to say that the Trump administration, there's actually a modicum of a chance that this person will be prosecuted. A lot of people just have videos of drones taking out bees' nest, getting 19 to 30 likes. I was going to say this silver lining this situation, for the first time in maybe a decade plus, Yosemite National Park is getting some, viral marketing. For better or worse, people now remember that place exists. And again, it's one of those things where all these parks are beautiful. I wish I had more of a time allocation or resource allocation to go visit them. Side effect being workaholic and small business owner, usually don't have time for vacations or those fancy things. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think this person will actually be charged? Will the flag be taken out immediately, or will it just stay up for days, weeks, or months? Let me know in the comments because, as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have senior living bed rails. Well, the portable bed rails where they're, being recalled because they fail. This is brought to us thanks to the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission, perhaps the only useful government website. Granted, pretty low bar, but still. And they say, well, they have the longest headline ever, probably. Now, they say, quote, living care adult portable bed rails recalled due to risk of serious injury or death from entrapment and asphyxiation hazards, violation of the federal regulations for adult portable bed rails, imported by Shanghai Kai Rong. Well, I'm not, I usually, well, with the exception of as a small slight or disrespect to Minnesota, I usually don't purposely try to mispronounce names. It's usually just a side effect. Now, this is imported by Shanghai Kang Rong Zin GKG. Maybe. At least that's how I tried to spell it. You can see a picture of those portable bed rails there. Which, that kind of looks cliche, exactly how do you expect. Which, most medical equipment, I don't want to say it's a rule, but it seems like it's all white with a little bit of foam plastered on top of it. Now, they say that this is, at least it's a small sample size in terms of 280 units are being recalled currently. I shall pull up the picture of it in the box, so if you see it lying around unassembled, kind of see what it looks like there. Now, they say that, quote, the recall involves living care branded adult portable bed rails sold for use on adult beds. The bed supporting railing has foldable frame made of white metal and black foam padding on its grip handle. The rails are adjustable with the width between 29 and 41 inches and height between 30 and 37 inches. Bed rails come in a storage bag and magnetic motion sensor light. Pretty fancy like that. Although if it's really for old people in terms of, relating to the customer, they should be the clap on and clap off activation, which, oh geez Louise, maybe that's my generation. We're getting there quick. That was really big back in my day. Now, they noted that consumers should immediately stop using the recalled bed rails. To receive a refund, the customer should send a photo of the disposed bed rail or Amazon purchase receipt to the recalling firm email. Wow, this guy might be, small sample size, less than 300 units, but you literally send it to Jerry He, Jerryhe at sourcing-cn.com. And they also know that the company is reaching out to all Amazon purchasers directly, in case you don't hear about it on the show. Recall number is 25-282. And again, thankfully, especially because, again, the older you get, the more difficult it is to recover from injuries. Thankfully, no injuries have yet been reported, so no one's been injured or passed away because of these ineptitudes of this recall. But still, it's a small sample size, but still got to worry about brand reputation, or in this case, tarnishing it. And again, for folks that are especially old or young, you got to make sure you're taking extra care in terms of not just abiding by regulations, but make sure you're doing things that'll keep them safe. But at the end of the day, thankfully no one got hurt, but still a recall. It's going to cost them, not too much for a pretty penny, because again, 280 units, but still something to worry about. Got to say, Shanghai Lee, you are certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.